Hello and welcome back to Perfect 10, the pop culture podcast where we explore the media we love. I'm your host, Michael Cohen. So what exactly is a perfect 10? It has nothing to do with a review score. A perfect 10 is a piece of media that resonates with us and hopefully you too. It's about the pop culture that shapes us and why we love it. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Brian, Curtis, Dan, Mark, Sherston, and Brian B. And to all our Patreon supporters, your contributions make this podcast possible. You can head to patreon.com/thunderquack to get early access to Perfect 10, exclusive podcasts, and more. Hop aboard the Pork Chop Express because we're headed to San Francisco's Chinatown to rescue some green-eyed maidens from the 2,000-year-old ghost demon Lopan with the host of What the Force, Marie Claire. Welcome back to the podcast.
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I feel like, wait, what was the last time I was on?
Reboot. So
Reboot.
last September 2024. So
that was very apropos with like the release of like the documentary, which we both loved.
Yeah.
But this one is another formative one, and actually like earlier. As you know, What the Force is a Star Wars podcast, and I don't know that there's a time that I remember not having both of these properties in my life. And actually they're so similar when you think about it. It's great.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is for me similarly one of those movies that I couldn't tell you the first time I saw it. I don't know that I ever really watched it like from beginning to end all the way through until I was like an adult, but I had seen the whole movie multiple times regardless because it was one of those ones that would just now, okay, not the actual movie, but the TV edit, obviously, right? Because this was one of those ones like The Last Starfighter and like Condor Man for some reason that was just on. They would just be on like the Saturday afternoon matinee, like every other weekend, and so you would just catch bits and pieces of it most of the time. Yeah, I don't remember watching this movie for the first time. It's one of those ones that is just like indelible in my memory, and I like you said, like formative, right? Like this is definitely one of those movies where this is one of the movies that is for sure why I like weird stuff. Because this movie, like on the surface, and I think to a lot of people who've seen it, it's a very like, what the heck? But then for those of us who have done the homework and tried to figure out, these tropes and the mythic motifs and all of that stuff, like you said, it shares so much with Star Wars. Like when you actually step back and you look at it, you go like, oh, okay, they had some stuff that they wanted to address in this movie. It is actually pretty complex, and there's a lot of deep stuff going on in it. So I'm excited to talk with you about it because that's what you do so well, is take these pop culture things and go like, but here's what's actually
going on. Oh my gosh, yeah.
We pop the hood, right?
So. Yeah, exactly. I do want to like mirror what you're saying in that like this was very formative to me. I don't remember a time by which this movie wasn't part of my life. We did have the beta.
Nice.
I believe. Like I did watch it like on a regular basis, and I'm sure my dad introduced me to it. Mm-hmm. So I have no doubt that it's been like part of my life for since it came out, or the year after it came out in theaters, because I don't think it ever came to my small town, but it definitely came out on beta and VHS. And I watched the hell out of this movie, and I have very distinct memories of especially Lightning as a character, like just how cool Lightning was as a character. I remember almost and the fight scene in the alleyway between the two rival gangs, the groups, and the truck, and them being stuck in the truck and sort of like immersed and not really knowing what what they've run into, and then like the storm showing up and them being like,
Yeah, yeah,
I have
yeah. It's so
very
good.
distinct memories of Lopan and like his whole being an old man versus like this young ghost,
Mhm.
and how formative that was for me to understand sort of like these mythic archetypes. And now as I look back with the years of me thinking about this stuff and working on it, I'm like, oh, that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
So it's just really cool to be like, yes, this is a perfect 10 for me. I think it should be a perfect 10 for anyone who likes What the Force or enjoys sort of when storytelling is trying to say something in a Western culture, but is really trying to figure out how to get past the American monomyth. And that
Mhm.
I'm excited to talk about that too.
Yeah, for sure. Let me give the primer on Big Trouble in Little China for maybe a listener or two that hasn't actually seen this movie, and is just listening, which is
Just
not the
go
preferred way to go about this.
No,
But
yeah, go watch it.
yeah,
It's
go
on
watch
Disney
it.
Plus. It's
Yeah,
available out there. It's a joy. You will be like, "What is this movie?"
yeah, yeah. But let me just give the little description here. So, Big Trouble in Little China is a 1986 action comedy directed by John Carpenter, starring Kurt Russell, Kim Cattrall, Dennis Dunn, and James Hong. Our adventure follows Russell's truck driving, wisecracking everyman hero Jack Burton and his gambling buddy Wang Chi as they get entangled in a battle against the evil Lo Pan. Lo Pan has kidnapped Wang's fiance, the green-eyed Miao Yin, and needs to marry and sacrifice her to break a 2,000-year-old curse and regain his corporeal body. Along the way, Jack and Wang join up with lawyer Gracie Law, tour bus driver Egg Shen, and others to rescue Miao Yin and stop Lo Pan's schemes to rule from beyond the grave, whatever that means. Uh, this cult classic blends Chinese mythology with American action tropes for an irreverent fantasy adventure full of humor and heart. Despite its poor box office performance, the lovable characters and incredible special effects have allowed it to stand the test of time. So knock back some magic potion and get ready as we discuss Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, this
Oh,
movie just it when you think about what is so great about movies from this era, from the 80s, we have Kurt Russell, obviously, like,
yeah.
incomparable, right? Just instantly lovable. A whole cast of supporting characters around that, although he is kind of a supporting character. I'm sure we'll discuss that. But you've
Yes,
like
we will.
just this whole cast of these great characters, a great bad guy in Lopan, an incredible soundtrack. Like the score to this movie, John Carpenter always hits it out
Yeah.
of the park with his
He
scores.
his synth is so
Yeah,
good.
yeah, it's so
Like,
good. And then
yeah.
visuals that just they like tattoo themselves on your brain.
The
Like,
lightning is still considered to be some of the best movie
yep,
lightning in even computer generated lightning.
yep. Oh, it's it is when we see nowadays lightning effects in a movie, they are copying this, and this movie is copying Return of the Jedi, right? Because that's really one of those first ones that does like that sort of flowing
Yes.
arcing lightning,
But
right?
it's even better than that.
But they refined it.
It was so
Yeah.
good, he signed it. He
Oh my god.
signed
Yeah.
the lightning when lightning dies. He has the figure or the little character that comes up,
Mhm.
and it's basically like workman or like craftsman, but that's like what carpenter translates to.
That's awesome.
So he was
Yeah.
so good that he signed his lightning.
That's awesome. I mean, it's like it's so it CG versions of it are maybe like more precise or more like technically accurate or whatever. But because this is back in the day when it was like hand drawn rotoscoped effects, right, hand painted,
Mhm.
it just has that it's like literally it's just je ne sais quoi. Like there is no explanation for it. It's it's it is an ineffable quality. It's hard to say.
Yeah, yeah.
I they that is just, it's because it's art. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally it's because it's art. And that's not to say that like the technical animation, CG, right, like computer assisted graphics and stuff like that are not art as well. They absolutely are. But there's just something about hand to medium, right, like to whatever
Yeah,
your medium is, but like the human touch to it, that like it just, and I mean like in 4K, even streaming, but like in 4K, like it just it's incredible. It's incredible how good it looked on my TV last night.
I know.
Like I like, cuz it's one of the, it's, I mean it's the first special effect we see in the movie, right? Cuz Egg Shen does it at the beginning.
Yeah.
And it John Carpenter is so smart because it really like, you've you kind, if you bought a ticket to this movie, I think that you know that you were in for something fantasy based, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're sort of sitting there as an audience member in the position of this lawyer
You might
guy
have thought
who's,
it was a martial arts movie.
yeah,
Right? Like
true,
sort
yeah,
of
like
like
just a kung fu,
Rush
yeah,
Hour
yeah,
or
yeah,
those
yeah,
sorts of movies that came after this.
more
Like
like a Bruce Lee sort of thing, or
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, like with a,
yeah,
like a white guy character that's like coming along for the
yeah, yeah,
ride.
yeah,
But no, as soon as, and it's really interesting because like that opening scene with Egg Shen and the lawyer, it was actually a studio put in.
mm,
He wanted John Carpenter wanted it to start with Jack and the Pork Chop Express
yeah.
talking on the radio.
Yeah, I can see it both ways, right? Because I
Yeah.
actually think that the opening is actually super effective in like just in the way that Jack and Wang are going to not even realize that they've crossed the threshold, right?
Yeah.
Like that we as the audience, it's the same thing. It's like you've sat down for this movie and you're like,
It takes you a
what's
while to
going
actually get
on?
into the weird
Yeah,
stuff of it, right?
yeah,
Because it's just like normal, like just two bros hanging out, right? So to have it up front to be like, this is a little taste of what you're in for, I
yeah,
actually think works. Like
yeah,
I'm not mad at this choice because I think that like it asks a lot of the audience to get into it, but it ends up becoming a frame story, even though they don't have an end where Egg Shen is like back talking to the lawyer after.
yeah.
Because it's basically saying this is a story that Egg Shen is telling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It gives us that little bit of the I the you could have like a bit of an unreliable narrator concept there, but because he shows them the lightning at the beginning, you're like,
Yeah, you're like, "Oh,
oh
wait."
no, this happened. It's real. This
Yeah.
is real. Yeah, no, it is a really good
Yeah.
framing device. And then we do like launch right into Jack Burton, and we're introduced to this character who is just I I mean like so many characters from this era, but he is, I mean, he's just another Han
Can I
Solo, right?
can
Like,
I yeah, well, I was gonna say, this is A New Hope, but
yeah,
told from Han Solo's perspective.
yeah, yes. Yeah, exactly.
It is
That's such a great way of phrasing it. Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
it is and the reason it is because Chinese sort of mythical storytelling generally follows the monomyth, right?
Mm,
Into the underworld, out of the underworld, rescued the princess, etc. Change the community forever. But Jack is a solidly American monomyth guy. He
mhm,
is a Western cowboy modernized for this story. And so is Han Solo, right?
yep.
And so when you have those two things mix, like you have in Star Wars, like you have in A New Hope, you end up getting this like kind of weird you know interplay. And the only difference really, we have so many similarities, but the only real difference is that Han Solo decides to stay after.
Mhm.
Really.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. He doesn't do the cowboy move of like, I'm gonna leave now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And so like it even shows like how American monomyth, the story, his lens, because Jack Burton is just visiting.
yeah,
He's not there to stay. He just got caught up in this more fantasy storytelling. But
he's very much that the cowboy, the John Wayne stranger that comes into town, right? And then leaves on the same horse.
Yeah. And like, much like us and the audience, and especially me when I was a kid, it was very much like being a fish out of water, but going along with it because it was so cool. So like me watching it as a kid and Jack, like I felt the same way as Jack in so many ways. Like, okay, this is happening now. Now there's green flame everywhere. Okay. Yeah. But this movie really spoke to my soul in so many ways because I don't know that I was exposed to as many of the horror elements, the mythical elements, the sort of themes. Like they all seemed very serious because I wasn't aware of them when I was a really little kid when I started to watch this movie at like maybe 5, 6. I was way too young to watch this movie. But some of the themes that are in the movie now that I'm watching with very adult eyes and like writing it down are like immigration obviously is a huge one, right? What is America? Well, China is here. That's like a quote from the movie. China is here. China is now. Human trafficking, still like a big problem nowadays, 2025. There's all this conversation about hoarding power and what it means to be powerful and how these like ancient evils like to hoard the power that they have, and it's never enough for them. And one of the things I wanted to point out about your intro was you said to take on his corporeal form, but it wasn't just that. He had to kill her to become the master of the universe. So it was even more of a threat, right? Because he could become corporeal by just marrying her, but to basically get everything he ever wanted, very Palpatine like, he had to kill her too.
Yeah, that's the ruling from beyond the grave thing. That's like I love that. I love that moment because he says it and then they kind of react because when they're like tied in the wheelchairs, right?
Yeah.
And Jack kind of reacts like what does that mean? Like that doesn't even make any sense, right?
That's not a thing.
Yeah, and then I think they like parrot it back at him afterwards or whatever, and it's like there's just like this weird back and forth of it because it is very much like you have Jack, who is this Han Solo scoundrel cowboy guy who's coming in from whatever his movie is. That is not this movie, right? And so he's like, I have no idea what's going on. And then you have Wang, who's like, join me on my romantic comedy that I'm about to start. And then all of a sudden it turns like, into this other thing, and he's like, okay,
heroic adventure where he's saving the love of his life. And,
but then there's this moment when Lo Pan sort of starts to monologue at them that you're like, oh, wait a second, are we in some sort of like a Chinese epic? Is that what's happening here? Is this an opera? Right? Because and like they're all, even when like later on we meet Egg Shen, or not we meet him, but like we're reintroduced to Egg Shen. And then they go into the underground thing or whatever, and the thing comes out and eats the guy. And it's like he's in a different movie as well. Like he's in like this like Lord of the Rings adventure thing. That again, he has walked in from his story, and he's like he says stuff several times where he's like, Jack, I've been waiting a really long time for this. Like this,
like you don't know how old he is.
Yeah. And he never explains any of it. It's why I say like we're gonna knock back some magic potion, because he does not explain what it is, what the magic potion is. He doesn't tell them exactly what it does.
He doesn't talk about like the pathway of 1,000 tree roots or whatever they go down into the like they never explain anything. They just assume, and also they'll switch back and forth between Mandarin and Cantonese and English, like, and not translate it. because
Yeah.
and it reminded me so much of Star Wars: A New Hope before they started translating the aliens in the
Yes.
versions. Like that feeling like you're just supposed to feel that way. You're supposed to not know what's going on except for context. And it's like it trusts the audience to come along on the journey. And
Yeah.
like that's how you know that it's a mythical story, right? You know that because every character actually feels like they have their own journey. They're not flat
Mhm.
characters. Everybody's living their best life in a way. Like even like we talk about Gracie, we talk about the maitre d at the restaurant. He's got his own thing going on. You talk
Yeah.
about the old man that hangs out at Wang's restaurant as well. Like he's got his
Yeah.
own thing. His perspective, existential concepts of why like this mystical stuff from China has invaded San Francisco.
Yeah. It's there's a veritas to it because all of these characters, whether we explore their backstory or not, have backstories.
Yeah.
Everyone has a history. The journalist has a history. They all have their motivations, and we don't stop. We don't go like, let me
Oh,
have a
what's that
monologue to
person?
explain.
Yeah.
It's just they're just along for the ride, and everybody's just caught up in the craziness of what's happening. And I think that that's one of the reasons why it does work so well, because like it like a Star Wars, it feels lived in, right? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like we've just set up a bunch of conceits that we're now playing out, but there were actual things going on before the movie started, and there will be things going on after the movie ends. Like
Exactly.
these characters are coming in and out, and their stories are just weaving together for this moment, and that's what makes this story interesting, and that's why this is a movie, right? Like as opposed to
Mhm.
it being, any one of their other stories that they're doing.
And it
Yeah.
feels so much like, oh, like a day in the life of Jack Burton
Yes.
and his adventure in magical little Chinatown, right? Like like it's
Yeah.
oh my god, it's wonderful. It even starts very like for Jack, he's driving his truck, the Pork Chop Express, and it's like his normal world and he
Mhm.
enters the other world unintentionally through basically like I'm just going to have this stop and then I'm going to go on my way. But like Wang sort of drags him into the world because of his needs. He is, calling for help in a way.
Mhm.
Uh and it, like the it happens to Jack in so many ways. Like he is not a willing participant or I'm going to go and storm the castle. No, he's dragged into this through his own like I need to help. I wanted my money, right?
Yeah.
Very Han Solo, like you owe me money. There is a girl that needs rescuing. Okay, I have honor. Like he has his own sense of honor and like, yeah, I should help my friend. And also my friend owes me money.
Yeah.
um, and then, as it gets bigger and bigger, he's like, no, actually, I can help. I'm a hero, even though he's actually a fool archetype.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's there were conversations at the time that the movie came out that, it's like, oh, is this like peddling in racist stereotypes? Is it right? Like, is this exploitative?
I actually think that it handles Orientalism actually really well because
I agree, and I think like John
it
Carpenter was always kind of like put off by those responses because he was
mhm,
like, no, don't you understand? Like it's actually just
it's a lived
because.
in world. It's
Yeah.
you could go down to Chinatown and see like people selling food like that. Go
Yeah.
to
It
restaurants like that. It
it's
talks
not.
about it
Yeah.
in the movie a little bit, like
And it's
Confucianism,
never talking
Buddhism.
down to it, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't like Jack Burton, even when he is like sort of confused and put off by this Chinese mythology that's in front of him, right?
Yeah.
He's never like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, right? He's just like, it's no different like to him. He's like, what are you're telling me that ghosts and dragons are real, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not that he's like, oh, you're Chinese gobbledygook, right? Like
He
there's
respects
never
it.
any, yeah, there's never
Yeah.
any like of that sort of the othering that happens. It's just simply um hold up, no, this is just a gang fight. And then the storms come down and he's like, listen, I don't understand what happened, but like don't get me caught up in the middle of like this weird gang war.
Yeah.
Right? He's constantly trying to just like rationalize it away. And I
Mhm.
and I think that a lot of that is them trying to be respectful of like, no, it's going to bring in all of this stuff. But yeah, the movie never at any point is othering the Chinese characters. As
In
a matter of
fact,
fact,
the Chinese
it's the,
characters are the awesome part,
yeah,
right?
and they're this, that's the central, like that's the reason the story is happening,
Yeah,
right?
and they're the heroic push, right? So Wang
Yeah,
himself is the Luke Skywalker of the story, even though he is being told from the fool's perspective, but
yeah,
he is the one who actually knows martial arts,
yeah,
actually has something to rescue from the castle, you know?
yeah. It is
He
it's so funny because it is the Han Solo perspective of like, who is this kid,
Yeah, "Who's
right?
this
Like
kid?
like what
He
are you
owes me
talking about?
money.
Yeah,
What? You got a princess? Like, what?"
yeah,
Yeah, like,
yeah,
very very, like, only A New Hope, right? Without kind of all the other concepts, like, "She's a princess, she's got money, like, we gotta go and rescue her," and, we have this character of Lo Pan, who is actually based on a historical figure
hmm,
who was, the one of the main advisors of the Emperor of China who created the, sort of, clay army, like the
hmm.
statued army that
Like the,
it
yeah, the
was
terracotta
the
warriors, yeah,
terracotta warriors that were buried with him,
yeah,
and, he had actually gotten in trouble in the story, so when he references the emperor that he has to marry somebody and basically fall in love and get married,
hmm,
it's because of his promise to this emperor, and then to the god of the east, he has to west? East? The god of the basically one of the major gods, he has to kill her because that's how he can actually get godlike powers.
hmm,
And so like there's more stuff going on and the fact that they don't ever really explain it other than to say, look, these ancient concepts and these ancient promises were made and once I fulfill them, yay, you know?
yeah, yeah,
But fundamentally, it's a solid Dark Union story, much like Bowser capturing Princess, right? Like it's that idea that there is a feminine aspect and power that this dark evil wizard
hmm,
needs to live again, right? It's how fairy tale tells anti-patriarchal stories.
yeah, yeah. I Oh, that's so perfect. 'Cause, yeah, that was one of the things that I wanted to really like center in on with this one, because I was trying to sort of like, as I was watching it, distill what is this thing about these movies from the 80s that resonates with me so much, and what is it that movies now that follow a lot of the same archetypes, they follow the same story structure, but so many of them are missing the mark. And then others, like I'll just throw out this example, Predator Badlands, was such a surprisingly, I mean, it's not really that surprising, Dan Trachtenberg hasn't missed yet, but like some of them are, some movies now are hitting on, and like the thing that I started to sort of suss out with that is that like, oh, this movie is anti-patriarchal. Like
Yeah.
that's the point of Jack as a character, is that like Jack exists within the patriarchy. He is a sort of an unwilling, because you can tell that he is actually a kind-hearted, like gentle person, but they but that the world wants him to be John McClane. It wants him
Yeah.
to be Keanu Reeves in all of his recent
And
films,
he's
right?
not very good he doesn't know how to use a gun.
Yeah. Yep.
He's kind of bad at being a badass. The only thing he has is this defensive reflex. That's
Yes. Yeah.
literally
It's
his
all in the reflexes.
only
Yeah.
skill. And
Yeah.
it's called out as sort of a Chekhov's gun in a way, right? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
of him talking about it, right? It's all in the reflexes, and then him catching the bottle is all just part of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He
And
only
it's
has
yeah.
defense. That is the only thing he has, actually,
Yes.
which is
Anytime
so
that he
interesting.
tries to anytime that he tries to dominate,
He
the
fails.
universe shuts him down,
Yeah,
right?
he gets knocked out, he gets
Yeah.
sidelined, he gets put, like, off to the corner. Like,
Yeah.
that time that
Then he's ultimately the one who kills Lopan.
Yeah.
Not because he takes an action, because when he first throws the knife, it doesn't go, like, it doesn't work for him. But it's like you said, it's the reaction, it's the reflex, it's the defense. It's the second that and that's the difference between like healthy masculinity and toxic masculinity, right?
Yes.
Toxic masculinity is a man walking into a room and going, I control this room now, right?
Right.
And healthy masculinity is a man being present and saying, how am I of service? Right? Like
Yeah,
what can I do?
yeah.
How can I help? What do you need? What do I have to offer? Right? And yeah, like and when you think about all of these other movies from the 80s that have sort of like stood the test of time and that really work,
And I think it
like
passes
that are
the
mythic, they
Bechdel
have that.
test too.
Yes.
'Cause
Yeah.
Gracie and Margot actually talk about, like, her story, and they talk about, like, what they're trying to get accomplished. Like, it's
Yeah.
not with the aspect of, like, men in mind. Like, they have their own things. Like, Gracie is an immigration lawyer, and she's trying to help Tara and all these other people who are trying to get a good
Yep.
start in America. She believes in America being better because of immigration. And
Yep.
yet there's these human traffickers that are also sort of taking advantage of this immigration concept. Um, we also have, like Gracie helping, but it's so funny because like Cattrall is so good in this role because she's like
Yes.
the badass, like the badass 80s woman archetype. She has to say, like, my name is Gracie Law. I'm a lawyer. Like, it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, if you didn't get it, she's a lawyer.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's that very like again, it's similar to Jack, right? Like she is this
yeah.
archetype that has to like walk into the movie and like state what it is that she is and like what her purpose is in the story.
Yeah.
And that is like that's like that a very American
Yeah,
Western
it's
culture thing of like
it's
I'm
that
a hero.
American storytelling meeting this very monomyth, like the hero's journey, the hero's
Yeah.
adventure
Yeah.
story, but it's structured entirely like the hero's adventure from Wang's perspective,
Yeah. And
right?
but Wang never at any point stops and goes, I'm a hero, right?
Yeah.
He's never there. He is just single-minded and focused, and he's just like, I love this woman, and I have to rescue her. That's what I'm here for. And then at a certain point, like we got to stop Lopan. Like that's what we're doing. And yeah, like it makes him such an interesting hero because he doesn't have, but it is very Luke Skywalker, right? Although Luke does have that moment in A New Hope where he's like, I'm here to rescue you, and she's like,
I'm here to
I'm
rescue
sorry, what?
you. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like it's just and again, like that's where that, like you say, like this movie sort of not just sidestepping but actually like addressing within the subtext Orientalism, which was a very big thing at this point in time. I mean, like this movie came out and was competing against The Golden Child, which was the Eddie Murphy movie
Yeah.
that was meant to be like the East meets West sort of thing. And Golden Child is a very like, that's a difficult movie. It's
Oh,
there are some
man.
things in that movie that I like, but then there are some things in that movie that I'm like, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that was
it's like
also a big part of my my childhood. That's really
Right?
interesting. My dad was
Yeah.
really into these sorts of movies, I guess. But if you compare it to even Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
right? The first Doctor Strange movie and how introduction to a culture is handled, you meet the culture where it is. It doesn't sort of judge, right? It doesn't judge the culture and it doesn't
Mhm.
try to change the culture. Whereas Doctor Strange, they use or not
Swinton.
Tilda.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah,
Tilda
yeah.
Swinton?
Yeah, Tilda Swinton
Um,
is the
as
ancient one. Yeah.
as the ancient one, and she's bald, and like there's all of this stuff that is like very orientalist
Yeah.
in it. But if you compare it to this, they speak languages around Jack. He doesn't understand it. He's
Yep.
just immersed into the world. And in so many ways, it's like there isn't a slowdown to try and explain anything to him except for what the characters are willing to, through changing between either Cantonese or Mandarin and then speaking some English to like hastily explain it, but with metaphor, that
Yeah.
he gets anything out of this, right?
It's so great because they're very pointed with it a couple of times with the recurring elevator gags, and when they're first going into Lopan's, when they he's like
Yeah,
pretending to
Wing
be the
Kong
phone guy or whatever.
exchange.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
go underneath, and then they're approaching the door, and he's like, "What's it say?" And Wang is like, "Oh, it says, this is the place of 1,000 demons or whatever." He says like some really
Yeah.
ridiculous verbose thing, and Jack's like, "Is that really what it says?" He says, "No, it says keep out." Like what are you talking about? And
Yeah.
then they get in the elevator, and he's like, "What are all these buttons? Like, what is all this stuff?" And he's like, It's an elevator, but it goes down." and
Yeah, it's counting down like
and then at
to
the
go
end of the
lower.
movie, when they get into to the elevator towards the end, um they get in, and Jack doesn't ask a question. He just goes, "It's an elevator, it just goes down." Right? Like
Mhm.
he kind of says it back at them, and it's just this really subtle thing of like, oh, he's paying attention, like he's
Yeah,
learning, he is.
this is just life, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it doesn't expect it to be anything else. And I have a lot of respect for John Carpenter and how he did
Mhm.
this movie. I watch a lot of Chinese media. Like
Yeah, yeah.
so much. And like it's incredibly respectful to
Mhm.
um like sort of these spiritual concepts as well. And I think that that was what drove me to it as a kid was like
Mhm.
there is this world. Like I'm like imagining myself as like the 5, 6-year old that was watching this movie back in the
Mhm.
80s. Yes, my parents let me watch whatever I want. It was a good thing I wasn't into horror movies. Um, although there's a lot of horror this in this movie that I think deeply affected me as a child. But I was really into like a martial arts movie
Mhm.
called uh the Young Dragons, Kung Fu Kids,
Okay.
which there was 2 of them, or maybe there was more of them, but it's kind of what the Three Ninjas, if you've ever seen those, like,
Yeah, yeah.
North American movies, was based on, but they were these martial arts movies with these incredibly skilled kids who knew kung fu, and I was really into that movie and this movie, and they felt like they worked very well together.
Mm.
Like, there was spiritualism and there was, all of this stuff, like, in those movies that were done and dubbed, and then, like, somebody had brought over to North America so I could watch it.
Yeah.
Um, but, like, this movie itself, because of the kung fu, because of how the culture itself is just, like, there, it doesn't assume anything and it's not played up in any sort of way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's the I think it's just the very neutral way in which it's presented, right? Like
Yeah, this is
this
just
is
how it
just how
is.
it's working. Um
Mhm.
I think like I'm growing up in Vancouver, I like in the late 80s and early 90s, you know, my friend group was as diverse as it gets.
Yeah.
But specifically, I grew up in Richmond, which is a suburb of Vancouver, and Richmond at that time, had a huge influx of Chinese immigrants. And so like the school that I went to was I had most of my friends were Chinese. And I so a lot of the imagery and the like the cultural stuff and whatever, like to me it wasn't a thing that I would question,
Yeah.
right? Because it just like, yeah, that's what, like, yeah, my friends are Chinese, like,
Yeah.
or Filipino or Japanese, or like it. So to me, I don't know. I this movie has never been one of those ones that has ever registered to me as anything other than just what it is, which is a story about like this Chinese mythology that comes to America, right? Like
Yeah.
it's there's sort of like a bit of a metaphor there of this. It's not like a deep metaphor, but it is there of when he says China is here, right? Like
Yeah.
it's and then at the end when Egg Shen is like, China is like in my heart, like it's in here wherever I go, she's with me, like, so I'm off on my next adventure, like it's all good.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
there like
Like diaspora, like the
yeah,
idea, like it's you know, American Gods before it was American Gods,
yes,
like that
yes,
sort of idea, like
so much so,
what
yeah.
have we inherited from this mythical stuff that's happening? Do you want to dig into some of the weirdness?
Yes,
Like,
please.
okay, I want to talk about the storms first because I I've loved them since I was a child, and I think that they're one of the like, other than Lopan himself, I think they're one of the most successful parts of this entire movie. The Storms, who don't talk much. I think, what,
Yeah,
2 of them talk? I don't
yeah,
think Lightning ever talks.
just noises, yeah, just
Just
like guttural
noises
sounds.
and, like,
Yeah,
breathing,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, as he's, like, crafting the lightning. But they themselves, when they change from both their, like they've got their giant hats and their, like, armor and their capes,
Hmm.
and 2, like, they wear suits. They walk
Yeah,
around in suits when their boss is, um, like, full on in his, little wheelchair.
yeah,
When he's in his mortal garb, they pretend to be in their mortal garb, but they're obviously, like, not,
yeah.
still. But their introduction in the alleyway, I still remember it from being a kid and how much I'm like, "What is going on?" Because that is when Jack and Wang and us as the audience enter into, like, the unknown, right?
Mhm.
Because this stuff is not supposed to exist. A guy is not supposed to be able to grab lightning and come down to earth.
Yeah.
And then, that's the moment that we see, like, Lopan for the first time in his, like, ghostly form, right? But
Mm.
the storms remind me a lot of, how Baba Yaga as this, like, idea of ancient evil or ancient, um, sort of feminine dark wisdom, they represent she controlled, like, sort of, like, nature? Baba
Mhm.
Yaga did. So he himself, like Lopan, being this character that has, like or this creature that has lived for so long, has basically mastered, like, nature. He's had enough time to has say, "Yeah, rain, thunder, lightning, you report to me."
Mhm.
And when I think about that, I'm like, yeah, that's not something that, like, is done anymore. Like, I'm so powerful that I can make lightning happen, or I'm so powerful that I can make thunder happen. Like, it's
Mhm.
done as superhero stories, but this is, like, so different. It's having them be his servants.
Yeah, well, it's the mythological component is closer to like in like in Western culture we would go back to like Greek gods, right? Like
Yeah.
it's more that like the dominion over the elements, right?
Yeah.
Which is like that's real power, right? And especially like lightning, the most destructive, powerful force that that we observe as human beings, like as you know, like ancient human beings. It's like this thing, it brings fire. It's pure destruction. It's pure energy, and we can't replicate it, right? Like that's the thing, is that thunder and lightning is a thing that is beyond, at that time, it's beyond like the ability for a human being to harness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I think, what makes it feel so primal,
Yeah,
that command of
yeah,
the elements, as opposed to you know, commanding a creature or a beast or something. It's like, well,
yeah.
that's a very, you know, human thing to do, right? But even fire is a thing that I think that I you know, egotistically, as human beings, are like, yeah, yeah, no, we can control fire, right?
Well,
But thunder and lightning is one of those ones that still, I think, to
and
us feels
rain.
magical. Yeah,
Rain,
yeah,
thunder, and lightning are all controlled by the gods in Chinese
yeah,
mythology. And so
yeah,
he is a god, right? Like this is
yeah,
something we have to like play with. And like the older part of our brains is like, "Oh, yeah, these are not things that should be controlled by human-like creatures." Right?
yeah,
This is not something that should be played with or controllable. So I think it's just it's really cool how making them actual people,
yeah.
characters on screen even adds to this idea that like that's how powerful Lopan is. He could take lightning and make him a person. He could take rain and make him a person.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
cool. And he has other creatures that report to him. He has, of course, anything that's like in the swampy undergrowth thing that they have walk through when they get there. But he also has the sort of gorilla monkey
yeah, whatever that
gross
thing is,
guy.
that weird yeti thing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, the weird like yeti guy. And then he has basically a beholder.
yeah, yeah. It is basically a beholder. Yeah.
The
That is
eyeball
that
guy.
yeah, that to me is the thing that that other than the, like, the neon, like that sort of final battleground at the end of the movie, but that creature, that beholder creature, is the thing that just captured my imagination so much as a kid.
He
And
creeped me out
it's
so
so
bad.
good. Oh yeah, it definitely was one of
Like
those
he
things where I was like, this is like a scary, you know, monster creature or whatever. But it
and
just,
he
like,
was just like a guy who could watch things and let
yeah,
Lopan know what's going on. And he was so creepy and scary when I was a kid.
yeah,
I think I'm
yeah.
still scared of him.
It's just, there's a, again, like the lightning, you know, being hand painted, hand rotoscoped.
Mhm.
This animatronic puppet that is, you know, like superimposed onto the screen. Uh, it just, there's just a tactile component to it that just feels so authentic. That even though we know in our minds, like, rationally, that this is a special effect, that this is a puppet, like, you look at it and you can't see anything other than that. um it doesn't matter if you can tell that it's fake, you still believe that it's real within the context of the movie. And
Yeah.
that's one of those, this animatronic, and this creature specifically, falls into that zone that, like, Yoda and Chewbacca fall into, and
Yeah.
R2D2, right? That, where it's like, we look at them and it's like, well, yeah, I know how they did it. Like you can show me a picture of Frank Oz with Yoda on his arm, and it doesn't change the fact that Yoda exists,
Yeah.
right? Like, you can take the mask off of Peter Mayhew, and I can see him with the, you know, with the black eyeshadow around his eyes, in between takes. But then Chewbacca is Chewbacca, right? And this is one of those creatures, I think, also a lot like the 90s, that from the first movie, especially the Ninja Turtles, where it's like, no, those are real. Like, that's real.
Yeah.
That's like, I just, it's, there's a, because you feel like you can reach out and touch it. I think that there's just something there. And sometimes we get good practical effects these days, but not as often as we used to. And sometimes like those, it's like, oh, these we're gonna do a bunch of practical effects, but the artistry has kind of fallen away from it because it's just not done as much now.
Yeah.
So like this, I really think that this zone between 85 and 90 ish, like that's when this stuff was at its peak.
Mm-hmm.
And John Carpenter was one. I mean, honestly, it was basically like John Carpenter, Stan Winston, Rick Baker, like I those the and obviously like there was a lot of collaboration in amongst that group, but like this is just the peak. And when you look at John Carpenter's stuff, like his movies, and like The Thing and Big Trouble and
Yeah.
it, there's so much of it that you're like, this is
He
as good as the
understands
practical effects get.
monsters.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
um the stuff I one of the things that I like about Big Trouble in Little China is that it has the same grit and the same texture as something like The Thing or really
Mm.
any of Carpenter's other movies, but then it is approachable and it is kid friendly. Like
Yeah.
the colors and the humor, I think
The humor, yeah.
they undercut the horror, which
Yeah.
allows you to sort of like at the end of the movie when that hand reaches up and then we see that the monster is hitching a ride with Jack on the Pork Chop Express. You're like, I don't know why, but I don't think that this is bad.
No, he got his
I don't think
Chewy.
I don't think he's in danger, right? And it's funny because there's actually a comic book that's that's like a sequel,
becomes his Chewy.
and that's exactly what happens. Is that like this creature basically like imprints on him and is like, I'm
Yeah.
with you now, like
I'm your buddy now. I need a
because you defeated
master.
Lo
Yeah.
Pan. I now listen to you, and so like now we're pals.
John Carpenter like had that made because he's like, I still have to tell this little story. So
Yeah,
cute.
because there's a promise at the very end of the movie, right? And it needs to be fulfilled. So I haven't actually read those comics. I just know that they exist.
I know
And
they
after
exist too.
watching
I've
the
never
movie,
read it.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I think I gotta track these down. I think I gotta track down I think
Oh my
it's like I
goodness.
looked at it. It's
No,
6 volumes,
and
and then there's like an old man
Ty
Jack thing.
Ty Black, who's also been
Yeah.
on this show, taught me that when you have violence, when there's comedy or when they make it stylized, which
Mhm.
this movie does both of those things,
Yeah.
it tones down the impact of the violence on the watcher.
Yeah.
If it's raw violence, if it's very realistic, then it's harder for the watcher to like watch it and consume it as enjoyable. But if it's stylized like
Mhm.
martial arts or like what they do later on when we talk a little bit about Lopan and Egg Shan and their fight, like
Yeah.
it it basically makes it like highly choreographed or enjoyable. It makes it more enjoyable for the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's I think like the stylization especially is that thing that puts it into like comic book territory. And this is a movie that
Yeah.
obviously predates so much of like comic book like the comic book movie thing. Right. We've got Superman at this point. We have a handful of things. But
Yeah.
this is before Batman, right?
Yep.
Before Tim Burton's Batman. So
It's even before Spaceballs, and let's talk about that,
oh, that's
right?
interesting. Yeah, yeah.
So let's briefly talk about Lopan, and then we'll dig into Egg Shen and him and his fight, and in the end here.
Yeah.
So Lopan as a character is so fascinating because they gave him physical ugly restrictions,
Hmm.
much like Palpatine. Like Palpatine is in this like scarred, horrible body,
Yeah.
but is like ultra powerful. And so is Lopan, but he also has this very smooth and cool version of himself,
Yeah.
where James Hong got to play his actual age of 57. This man does not age.
Yeah.
He looks so young in this movie. Yeah, he's in his 90s now. And I hope we still have him for another 20 years because he is such a joy. James Hong, Poe's dad from Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah.
The best. He's just so good, and he is sarcastic, and he mocks Jack, and he's also just like, "I'm finally there." Like, I love his joke about like, "Oh, there have been other girls with green eyes, but sometimes things just don't work out." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, no."
Yeah, because it's been 2,000 years, right? So,
Yeah, yeah. Like, of course
it's
there's been
so
other
good.
girls with green
Yeah,
eyes,
yeah.
but he's also kinda creepy and weird.
Yeah, there's such an interesting quality to the performance that I think is really the key to why this character works and why this character is one of the things that people really take away from this movie.
Mhm.
And like that's like James Hong just has such a good sense of humor that
Mhm.
it's it's hard to pin down. It's essentially that like we're in on the joke and he's in on the joke as the actor, but his
Yeah.
characters are very seldom in on the joke, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't know that they're humorous characters. In Kung Fu Panda, that's a great example because that's just his voice even,
Yep.
but Poe's dad doesn't
He makes
realize the
jokes without
absurdity of
knowing
him
it.
being a duck and Poe being a panda, right?
Yeah.
Like there are lots of jokes at the dad's expense of him sort of like being this fool of a character.
Mhm.
And that's I think that's like a very common thread with his characters and the sort of comedy that he's so good at. And Lo Pan is one of those characters. Like he's got this like weird goblin-ish aspect to the decrepit version of him, right? Like
Yeah.
when he's like
He's
the
like, "Oh,
old
giggly," like
businessman. Yeah.
Yeah, and
There's
he
a,
kind of reminds me of, like, Gollum a little bit, like,
yeah,
in the look of him, and they make such a good job of, like, giving him age spots in his, like, little stringy hair, and, like, he's
yeah. It's great
and,
makeup.
like, how he's like, "Oh, a girl with green eyes," and he's a little shaky, and, like, the characterization is so everything whenever you're faced with a very old person as a child, and you're like, "I'm scared of this very old person just
Yeah.
because they are death." They are
Yes.
so close to death that they are death to
Yeah,
you,
they got
you
that
know?
Crypt Creeper quality to them.
Exactly, like,
Yeah.
he pulls on that and that, like,
Yeah.
horror element of, like, the existential dread when you're a child and you're, like, looking at an older person that you don't
Yeah.
understand, like,
There's
their life and everything.
there's this moment, and again, this is when Jack and Wang are first introduced to Lopan in this
In
weird
their
form.
wheelchairs,
Yeah, in their
yeah.
wheelchairs. And he like Lopan is not like he's just sort of presenting everything very matter of fact and like just sort of like he's villain monologuing. And
Mhm.
the two of them have several moments where they look at each other and they're like, are we going crazy? Like
Yeah.
what's happening?
Yeah.
This is so odd. This is so it's not they're not scared of him. They're just put off. Like they're
Yeah,
just
like, they're
like
like, "Who's this creepy
yeah,
mofo?"
yeah, they're just like this is just
This is
so
Lopan, the Lopan
weird.
that, like,
Yeah.
all of these old dudes that we hang out with is scared of because
Yeah.
he's been around for a while. Like, how long is a while? And he's like, "Oh, 2,000 years I've been around," you know? Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, and I think like that's just like James Hong is just so perfectly cast to pull off
Yeah.
that specific running gag throughout the rest of this movie,
Yeah,
right? Of
yeah.
like just how weird Lopan is, but also like this is real threat. Like there's real danger here. There are real stakes.
Yeah.
But this dude is so weird. So
Yeah.
weird. And that, like when he fights Egg Shen and they do their video game.
Their video game fight,
And
yeah,
he
where
yeah,
they're
he
crossing their fingers, they
it's
lock
so
their
good.
pinkies, and they
Yeah,
basically, like, use their thumbs to fight, and I
like
keep
Street
on
Fighter.
thinking of, like the Schwartz fight in
Yes.
Spaceballs,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
I was like, "No, Spaceballs must have come out first." No, it didn't!
Yeah.
But, of course,
Yeah.
Spaceballs is based on, A New Hope, like, yeah, but also, this has so much of A New Hope in it. Right? It's Obi-Wan fighting Darth Vader, right? It really is.
Yeah. Oh,
They've been fighting for so many years. They talk about it. And even Lo Pan's like, Egg Shen, you could never beat me.
Yeah. You could. Yeah, you never could beat me at. And then he says whatever it is that they did, right? Yeah, it's so good. But it's this wonderful weirdness in the middle of this kung fu battle with all of these guys doing flips and swords
and like, the wire work where they're like flying across just to cross swords like one time or multiple times while they're like flying across the screen. Like, oh my God. And like half the time Jack is knocked out because he shot his gun at the roof and it knocked him out. And then everybody else is like fighting. And like Gracie's doing stuff because she's woken up because she's got her own heroine's journey that she's going on.
It's so funny watching it last night. I was struck with a similarity that I had never clocked before. And it's to Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And the battle of the bands when they have the Yeti that comes out of the amplifiers and whatever. And what does he fight? I think he fights like a dragon or something like that. The twin dragons.
When it's like the two brothers or whatever. And they use the music to fight. Yeah.
And it's like it's that same thing of like it's this weird like proxy battle thing. And this was what John Carpenter had access to in 1986, right? Making this movie was them doing this thing, and he makes this analogy of it being like a video game basically with the thumbs, right? And I just it's one of those things. If I ever meet Edgar Wright, I'm gonna ask him that. Like that, I'll be like, "Hey, it's so nice to meet you. You make great movies. They are hilarious." Was Big Trouble in Little China an inspiration on that one sequence? Because I gotta know. Because I watch it and I'm like, if just like the vibe feels so similar to me. Because it's just so over the top and so nonsensical, but still. It's still just, it works. I don't know, it just works. I love it so much. That whole final battle in this movie, and the neon lights around the demon statue and the skull and all of that. I was messaging Joe while I was watching last night, and I was like, I don't understand how no one else has ever done this again. Like how people didn't see
making
this.
It look so cool.
It looks so good, and it's such a simple set deck. It's such a simple concept.
When I was watching it, Kyle was like, was this a mall that they took over?
Yeah.
Like it looked like an inner food court or an inner circle of a mall.
Like an atrium of a mall.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, it could have been a mall. They just like decked up.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. I love it so much.
The neon is just so poppy, and it speaks to like children's psyche, like having bright colors and like interesting things to look at. I do want to talk about Egg Shen, and then I want to talk briefly about the girls a little bit, like both Malian and Gracie, because they end up becoming like this archetype in the story for both Jack and Wang as well as Lo Pan. But Egg himself, he is this mentor, and actually I'm going to put him archetypically at a mage. And of course Lo Pan himself is like a sorcerer, right? Like, so he's like the evil version of the mage who's trying to still like live life even though he's way past his expiration date. But Egg Shen is the character that's like, I live in the world to save others from the evils, and like very, the Hinduism has this concept of like bodhisattvas, or like in Buddhism as well, like the idea of like somebody who's staying around to protect the world from all of the evil that is there and can't leave because you have to save everybody if you really care about the world. But he's not just like an Obi-Wan figure. He has chosen to stick around. And we see him only really driving his bus, except for that like intro scene, before he shows up at Wang's restaurant and is like, no, guys, I'm here to help. starts to explain what is going on in the universe and how actually this is really fundamental. And he has this discussion with the old man from the restaurant, and they're like, you know, the world and the universe moves because of positive and negative furies.
Mhm.
Like, it's very like the force, and they
Yep.
start talking about how, like, there's all of this stuff out there, and like Chinese people just kind of take what works for them and goes with it. And I
I guess.
and I loved that so much as a child, and I still love it. Like this idea that like these stories, when you watch them, if they influence you and they resonate with you, like you take it with you. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Not everything has to work for you mythologically, psychologically.
Mhm.
Just take what you want.
Yeah, I think there's also an interesting component to that is like adaptability and flexibility. Like it's not
Mhm.
being so rigid in your belief that you're dealing in any one absolute, right?
Mhm.
They because when they say it, it's sort of in the midst of this conversation where even like Wang is kind of like, I don't really like, I don't understand what's going on here, and like
Like you
and
learn about
Jack
these
is
stories,
definitely,
but you kind of
yeah,
just
yeah.
hope they aren't true.
And Jack is like, this is all, this is none of this isn't real. You got to explain to me what's actually happening. At which point, yeah, like Egg Shen and the uncle are kind of talking, and they have that moment where it's like, that's like the Chinese, that's what we did. Like we took from this, we took from Shinto, and we took from Buddhism, and we took from Tao, and like they
Confucianism, Buddhism,
Confucianism, like
and
they
Taoism,
yeah,
and
and
said,
we kept what we wanted, and
yeah,
we left behind what we didn't. And it's like that mentality is so I think it's very liberating, right? Like
yeah,
it's a, and I think that's the way that they're presenting it, and the reason why they're saying it to these young men as these elders is they're going like, it's what Obi-Wan says of like, your eyes can deceive you, don't trust them, right?
yeah,
Like like you're like, this is why Luke was too old to begin the training, right? Because
yeah,
we get to a point in our lives, and that's what Wang is saying, is that like, these are the stories that we're taught as children, and we choose not to believe, right? Like,
yeah.
or not, he doesn't say choose, he says we pretend not to believe
Pretend
when we
not to
become
believe.
adults, right?
Yeah,
And I just think that like, it's one of those things, like John Carpenter, his movies are so um they're so like popcorn fast food on the surface, but then
mm.
when you really sit with them, or you really like, you allow them in, I think, because you have to make a conscious choice with a John Carpenter film like this, or They Live, right? To go like, forget about the trappings, forget about the things that are stopping you from believing this world, live in it for a second, let it inside you, and it's
Yeah,
going to actually tell you some stuff that you need to know. Like, as we discuss this, it's doing that for me, because I'm going like, that's what that I said to Joe last night. I was like, this movie is one of the reasons why I love weird stuff so much.
yeah,
And like, the more we're talking about it, the more I'm going like, no, it really is like that. It is actually in the thesis of the movie, which is like let go of your preconceived notions of what is possible and impossible, what's real and unreal, fantasy, reality, whatever. Like, look at what's in front of you.
yeah.
There's no other explanation,
And let yourself
right?
just get carried away with the story.
Yeah,
Like Jack and Wang both resist it, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
and you know, maybe we'll dig into them a little bit before we get into the like underworld and the girls. We'll save the girls to the end, but um Jack and Wang both like resist the call multiple times.
yeah.
Even though they're going along with it, they're not like bought in until they drink the potion. Until they
Yes,
accept that, like,
yes,
yeah, this is weird. When they go to the Wing Kong exchange the first time and pretend to be electricians. phone repair guys. Yeah.
Technicians. Yeah.
Yeah. They sneak in by basically just talking fast.
He's just yelling about, they got your phone's down here, right?
Yeah. And
Just
they
act
sneak
like you're
in.
supposed to be there.
And when Jack like sneaks into the brothel, which I was trying to remember the name of it. It was.
I don't remember. He references
Oh,
the
it's the White
Tiger.
Tiger. Yeah, the White Tiger is the place that he goes to try and buy Mao Yin back.
Yeah.
When they're sneaking into these places, they're coming from a place of like, I've not accepted that this is actually happening. They're like, I can just walk in and do things the normal way. Whereas Egg Shen, when he comes in, and this is, they basically, like, Jack goes into the White Tiger, they go into Wing Kong, and it's not until the third time, because 3 is like a really important number in fairy tales and mythic stories. It's not until the third time that they accept this like supernatural method going into kind of the underworld. So they try to enter the underworld through the normal gateway like 2 times before they eventually try like the mythical way the third time. And this sort of shows them,
right? Because he's like, what's so different this time? And he's like, well, you tried going in the front door.
Yeah, we gotta go in the back door.
A different way. We're gonna go in my way. Yeah.
And they go to this weird, creepy, swampy, like the bottoms of trees. Like you're like, this place doesn't actually exist. It's like, it reminded me a lot of Dagobah. Like they're walking and there's like these little bridges over this swampy like water, and then they enter and they're like in the underground of this entire complex. And that's part of the journey, is like you had to actually go like deep down to actually find this truth, right? That there is no quick solutions. You have to go, and you have to like go deep into the underworld to really face the monsters.
Yeah.
And death is right there as one of the guys dies. Grabbed dead.
It's so good because it's telegraphed really early on. When Eddie is like, the maitre d' guy is like, oh yeah, Chinese got all kinds of hells. We got hells for everything.
yeah, exactly.
And it's like
just one of them.
It's him sort of like cluing us in, like the white audience, right? Of like, oh, like there are mythic worlds, like there are other places, there are other realms, right? Like but it's such a like casual thing that he says, because he's talking about like superstition, right? Like he's talking about like, oh, don't do that or you'll be in the hell of this or that. And throughout the movie there are like, they reference a bunch of different hells, right? Like Lopan at one point is like, I'm gonna kill you and send you to the hell where they eat your skin, or like something like that. And it's just like, it's just this sort of like very off the cuff remark that Eddie makes, but he doesn't realize that he's actually like imparting some wisdom, right? It's that there's a sort of a through line in the movie of that sort of like piercing the veil between our corporeal world and whatever is beyond, right? And that's just one of those things. It's like these characters are aware of it, but they like Wang says, it's like they pretend that they don't know it, right? They pretend not to believe in it. But when presented with it, it's like you have no choice. You have to embrace it. And that's when they take the elixir, right? When they drink the magic potion.
When they drink, it's like, I've never felt so good. I feel like I could take on the whole world.
It's
exactly.
So good. It's so good because it does change their outlook, and changing their outlook is part of their fortune, right? Like
they are transformed in the underworld.
It's so,
and they are
so good.
And part of this is like, what do you go and rescue in the underworld? Well, oftentimes you need to go and rescue a missing part of yourself, and for Jack it is Gracie. Gracie represents this thing that he has to has to save. He's so attracted to Gracie, but they keep on like fighting it. And this like, no, we can't possibly, and then they end up making out like multiple times, like when they go and rescue her from like that one holding area, and they keep on like, they had her gagged because she wouldn't stop yelling. Oh my
Yeah.
god, it's so
Yeah.
funny because she's basically like the femme ultimate version of Jack, right? Like somebody who has her stuff together mostly,
Yeah.
trying to do something to help society, trying to help others. Like she is sort of like his equal and opposite in
Yeah.
who she is. And then Mao Yin represents Wang's other half, like this like this anima for him, who is his childhood sweetheart. Like they grew up as children, so and they haven't seen each other in years, and she is his like the thing that he's missing in his life. He even talks about it, and they use the language of like something missing from yourself. Like I can't
Mhm.
think without her anymore, Jack.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? I
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
her to make everything make sense. It's all mythical language that they use when it comes to these characters. And yes, unfortunately, Mao Yen is very like damsel, whereas
Yeah.
Gracie is full like, I'm a heroine of my own story. I just happen to be walking into this story. I've got my own thing going on. I'm rescuing people who don't have a fair shake in America.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I mean, she's so Princess Leia, right? Because she's this beautiful, like strong-willed social justice warrior, like
Yeah,
in a
it's like
very literal way.
they took Princess Leia and they split the princess part and made it Mao Yin, and they gave the
Yeah.
like politician part, like lawyer part to Gracie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
interesting.
It's good.
But it's what those two need to feel whole, right? And so
Hmm.
your princess is stuck in the underworld. Your princess is stuck in the castle. You have to go and rescue the princess. This is such a psychological, mythical story for these heroes, these guys that are trying to sort of work through this psychological transformation that they're going in.
Well, and I think the interesting thing about, you know, the going into the underworld to sort of attain the thing that is missing, right? Like
Mhm.
to find that missing piece and bring it back. Um, and this being like a very like anti-patriarchal story, it's, and of course it's the feminine, right? Like of course
Yeah.
it's that aspect of them.
It's
Um,
also Jack's truck.
yeah, it's also Jack's truck. I but that's, I think that that's the interesting thing about Jack is that Wang is like, I have everything else.
Yeah.
I have
I
my
have a home,
restaurant.
I have a restaurant, I
I have
have
success, I have friends,
yeah.
I have a life, but like she is
They
the
s
thing that I have been missing, but I have been working so hard to bring
Yeah.
her here, and now I'm there, right? But
Mhm.
Jack is torn between two worlds, which is his
Yeah.
independence, his own
Well, his
internal
truck is his
monomyth,
home because he
right?
probably
Yeah.
sleeps in his truck as a trucker, right?
But
So
then but at the end, I love it because Gracie is like, why don't we take this money and go get like, let's go get a bigger, better truck that I can live in with you. And he's like, yeah, I'll think about it. And then he leaves, and I Margot is like, aren't you even gonna kiss her goodbye? And he stops, he pauses, he thinks about it, he looks at Gracie, who is telegraphing, I will do anything for you right now.
yeah.
Like you and I are linked, right? And
Yep.
he looks at her and he goes, no, and he leaves. And he
Yeah.
walks and he rides off into the sunset on the Pork Chop
Which is
Express.
like
And
totally the American monomyth, like
yeah,
Western hero. Like, I've got to leave. I can't possibly stay because I actually haven't experienced what I've needed to experience to break out of patriarchy yet.
yeah, because it wasn't his story.
It wasn't his story. He was Han Solo this whole time.
It was Wang's story, and Wang gets what he's after
He
at the end, and
needed, yeah.
and so now he's
And the
ready to,
and his world has changed,
yeah,
right? Like, so he came back with the elixir. He came back with the things that
yeah,
needed to be fixed. And like little Chinatown, like Chinatown is forever changed. Lopan, the curse is lifted. The
yeah.
world is better for all of the people that live there.
Well, it's safe for the next generation, right? And
exactly. And Jack is not safe because, well, in our minds, he could be not safe because of this monster that is following him.
It's, I mean, I think that there's an aspect there of like, of whatever Jack went into that adventure with,
he came out still with
carries, right?
Yeah,
like it's, and that's I think if you want to look at the monster at the end being like representing something,
I just felt like the adventure wasn't over for him, right? Like
exactly, right?
That's how I view it. Like
so that thing that he just needed to go, he still needs to find.
Yeah, he needs to go on another adventure, right? Oh my god. And I love that actually it was left open-ended in so many ways, because it made me go like, what could happen next? What is the next adventure? How could this still happen for Jack? You know,
I love long form storytelling, obviously, as a Star Wars fan. Like, you know, it's the longest form storytelling.
Yeah.
And you know, anime like Dragon Ball and comic books and stuff like that. It's all this great long form stuff. But I also really love a self-contained, like, here it is sort of story. And like and it's not to say that it doesn't end with an ellipsis, because this movie ends with an ellipsis, and a lot of the great movies that are like self-contained, they will also end with an ellipsis, but the ellipsis is just, and then, you know, that's the next adventure, right? Like, life is an adventure, like it's, and
like the hero's journey starts again
briefly, right?
Yeah. This was
Yeah.
just the aspect of it that happened in Chinatown in San Francisco. I did want to call out.
I like it.
I did want to call out, like, I am obsessed with all of the symbolism that is used to prove that the girls, the green-eyed girls, so both Gracie and Mao Yin, were like good to be his bride, and the fact that like Lo Pan tried to cheat the system. I'm obsessed with this whole thing. Like, so they have to not flinch when the guy does the sword thing. They have to like touch the burning blade, and then also touch like the orb thing. And then to actually marry them, he had to use a needle to pierce her wrist, I think, and then pierce his own. Or no, by piercing her wrist, he became corporeal. Basically, through blood, he was able to live again. And I just like all of that symbolism, their outfits, like all of that. I don't know. That changed me on a fundamental level as a child.
Yes.
Right? Because like it's so archetypical, but I never understood it. It like rewired my brain chemistry.
And the movie also doesn't try to explain it.
Nope.
It just goes like, these are the trials, and these are the things that he's gonna have to do. Yeah.
Also, when Lightning steals Mao Yin from the White Tiger, like that also is like burned into my subconscious, I think.
Yeah, like the roof being torn off.
Yeah, the roof being torn off, and him like coming down, and the green flame above the whole thing, and then him picking her up and carrying her out. I don't know, man. That changed me on a fundamental level as a child.
Yeah, it's
so
such,
cool.
It is, and this is another John Carpenter hallmark in that, like, it is so much show don't tell.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're dealing
like,
with
will we ever have answers? Nope.
Stuff, yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah, because it's not. This is one of those things this year, as I've been watching movies and talking with people about movies and about the stuff that really resonates for me. It's and I think it's also me trying to sort of deal with, you know, what's happening in the world and how people can be motivated in the directions that they're motivated in, that I just don't understand. The reason why it works is because it's not about what you think. It's not about rationalizing it. This isn't CinemaSins, right? Like, if we did a CinemaSins takedown of this movie, the counter would break. There's so many things that you could be like, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, that's a continuity
error. It doesn't need to make sense.
It's like, no, it's about how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
Right?
Like,
and that's
like vibe storytelling.
It's vibes. And that's what John
How
Carpenter
does it affect your subconscious?
So well.
how does it affect your subconscious, and what is it speaking to in this like very base level? Like that creepy monster, the eyeball guy, Lopan himself, like the storms, like they're all speaking in this very like symbolic language. The whole story itself is very, very symbolic. And so like it spoke to me as a very young child, and even now I watch the movie and I'm like, yep, still affected by all of this cool stuff.
Yeah. And it's the stuff that's creepy, it's the stuff that's scary, but it's also the stuff that's like
Cool.
jubilant and
Yeah.
exhilarating, right? And I think that like
Yeah.
when we talk about the
Oh my
way that
god.
movies make us feel, we talk about that negative stuff so often of like, oh, it made
Yeah.
me sad, it made me scared, but we never ever talk about what I just said, which is that like it was jubilant. It made
Yeah.
me excited. It made me want to like celebrate. And this movie is one of those ones where like when Wang, he's taking the potion and he like leaps into the air with the sword and you're
Yeah.
like, that's awesome.
It's so
He's
cool.
cool. He does like a dozen handsprings and you're like, I didn't know he could do that. That was really cool. And like that I think is also, it has value. Like
Mhm.
it matters. And having that stuff in movies I think is a good thing. And there's so much in filmmaking in the modern era that is so cynical about that sort of thing. And every
Yeah.
once in a while something punches through like the Matrix and goes like, no,
The Last Jedi
sometimes it's
fight
just cool to
scene,
be cool. The Last Jedi, the perfect example, right?
right?
Sometimes
When
it's
and
just cool to be cool, guys. It's
yeah,
okay for it to
the
just
the
be
rule of
cool.
cool actually still rules,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
perfectly fine. But that's why like this is why Perfect 10 is a podcast,
Yeah.
right? And it is to be the antithesis of something like Cinema Sins, or like how it should have ended, or what's that, the like when they redo the ending or whatever. And it's like yeah, it's fine. Like I think that those can
Yeah.
be like fun critiques as well, but it's that like people get so lost in that sort of critique of like everything becomes a takedown. And I don't think that that's the way
Like
to
a movie
digest
like
art.
Into the Spider-Verse
Yeah,
wouldn't exist without rule of cool.
yeah, yeah,
Right? Or just
exactly.
joy.
Yeah,
And to me, it's all finalized when Jack, they open up a door and there's his truck and he's like, "My truck!" And we're
yeah,
like, "Oh yeah, his truck." And it brings
yeah,
us like snapping back to reality to say, right, he did all of this for his truck, but
yeah,
he and us, we forgot it this whole time because it was such a bigger adventure that he was on.
yeah,
But that's what he gets to take out of the underworld with him, his truck, and it takes everybody else. It's like finding the Millennium Falcon.
yeah,
Like, it's
yeah,
so good. Oh my god, I love this movie so much.
yeah. So good. It's so good.
Joy, joy.
Yeah. I yeah, I mean like that's why this podcast is fun, is because we get to dig into something that especially like something like this that like we both said, it was formative. It was one of those movies that you saw as a kid and you just like never forgot, right? Um
Yeah, and
but
it's
like to
something that
figure
I
we
don't.
figure it out, like
Yeah.
what was it? Why? How come?
I don't know that movies like this can be made any longer. Like,
I
I
yeah,
genuinely don't know if, like, a box office failure, trashed by, like, some people, but became a cult classic because of rentals, because of things like Blockbuster, because of, you know, um, people, like, passing it around and, like, word of mouth,
yeah.
could exist in the same way. And,
It's
like,
yeah.
I hope John Carpenter is really proud of his work in this, like, still to this day, because it is so important as a piece of cinema.
Mhm.
And I just like, I I don't know. There needs to be a different model in the world. And I don't know what that model is, but
It's yeah, it's
yeah.
interesting because we don't have a monoculture anymore, right? And I think like that's why a thing like a cult classic is so much harder to come by now, because it kind of requires that that it be missed on its first like on its initial launch, but that it then has these other avenues of like being picked up and then distributed, right? And so us watching this as a Saturday afternoon matinee on cable television, right, or having a beta or a VHS of it and being able to discover it
There
that
isn't
way.
even that. Like you had 4 channels or you had like 10 channels,
Exactly.
and there isn't like, I have nothing else, this is what I'm going to watch, and discovering it.
It's not prescribed anymore, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
thing about it, is that like I watched this movie not because I chose to watch this movie, but because it was chosen for me by somebody else.
Yes.
And that is, I think, as we lose third spaces, we lose like we no longer have video stores. Best Buy isn't even a thing anymore where you can really
Yeah.
go and like buy a DVD. There's no record shop. There's no like these places are falling away. Comic shops are really, I think, like the last one. Retro video game stores exist in some cities for some people, and that's cool. But like the comic shop, I think, is like the last bastion um of that
Mhm.
cultural meeting place, right? Of us being able to go somewhere, find other like-minded people, get recommendations from somebody who's, from that teenager who's been there, right?
Yeah.
When you're a younger kid, right? Like when you're an adolescent, and you got like that 17, 18-year-old. It's the character that is in Stranger Things, right? The
Yeah.
oh, what's his name? I that's the D&D guy that I can't think of his name right now. Eddie, right? That's like he like that's what he is to those kids. He's like, hey, let me learn you a couple of things
Mhm.
about good music and good movies and stuff. And those spaces are so few and far between nowadays that, like, yeah, finding something like this is so hard. It's so
This
difficult because
reminds me so much of, Empire Records, and which is
yeah,
another perfect 10 for me.
yeah.
Yeah, because, like, Empire Records is a story about that, about the loss of a third
Yeah.
space.
I do think that like that is really a part of our culture that has like
There's been more and more stories being told about the loss of the third space.
my hope is that as we sort of are processing that fact and we start to realize it, that there's some intentionality in bringing that sort of a thing back, and bringing back the community center, like, the rec center sort of thing, as well
Yeah.
as comic shops, video game stores,
I mean, I still have
movie
a lot of
stores
hope
and that sort
about
of thing.
libraries, because libraries,
Yeah.
as like third spaces have been disappearing, they've been picking up the slack a lot. Like you can have meeting rooms,
Yep.
they have cultural events, they have like, hey,
Yep.
you want to get into comic books, want to draw comic books? Here's a special presenter on how to do that. Want to learn how to program?
Yeah.
Like there's still those spaces, but even those are like under attack. So it's
Yeah.
hard. I don't know, man. I this this very, like, has so much nostalgia for me because of
Yeah.
how much it represents to me personally, but, like, if we take it out and we remind ourselves of the very best things about it,
Hmm.
and we accentuate those and how those things were done, and we think about that, I think people can be inspired to make more art and
Yeah.
more story that is brave like this. And it might not work for everybody, but it's sure gonna work on me.
Yeah, I think that is one of the key takeaways with an artist like John Carpenter, who had every opportunity to become a Hollywood, very like corporate successful director in that respect. He has all of the skills to be that, but at every turn he said no. He said, I have these other things that I want to do. I want to tell these stories, and I'm not gonna play in that system. I'm gonna continue to do independent stuff, and I'm gonna continue to tell the type of stories that I want to tell. And for that to be so like all over the place, right? Like to not be pigeonholed into any one thing, and to not after creating Halloween, right, to then
Mhm.
go off and do something like Big Trouble in Little China, I think is like it shows a real integrity as an artist, that he is like, because he made The Thing, which is one of the greatest horror movies of all time, and then he made Halloween, which is one, like, has one of the most like iconic horror I monsters,
Mhm.
antagonists. And you can look at his filmography and see that he's got like a half a dozen of these movies that I think really um shaped the culture in the 80s, right?
Yep.
But then in the 90s he was like, I'm going to do what I want. Like, I'm going to continue to do these weird things, and I'm going to continue to do my own score for my movies, even though that's probably not the best choice. It's the choice that makes me the happiest as an artist. And there's a kinship that I feel with him there, because there's a lot of times where I look at my art and I go like, I really just made this for me. Like, nobody else cares. It's like it's got 20 likes. I
Yeah.
and it's not like I don't know that I'm ever gonna have that piece of art that is like that viral. It
Yeah.
just takes off and it gets like 20,000 likes or something like that. A million views. I just don't think I'm that. I just don't think I'm that guy, because I'm the guy who's going like, but what if Dan and Ghostbusters had a crossover? And that is a thing that is specifically interesting to me and Joe, and that's about it. and
Yeah.
um and although like my friends appreciate it and go like, good job, Mike, we're happy that you're happy. It never really like hits that wider audience, and yet I persist. I continue to go like, yeah, but what if I just made this thing that I really want to exist?
And
And
I
maybe
and I
eventually one
think
of those things will
that's
hit. But
also important because you're feeding your own soul.
well, if I just was chasing trends and doing the things that everybody else is doing, then I don't know that I'm really getting out what I need to get out, right? Because the compulsion for me,
Mhm.
and I think that this is the same for John Carpenter, is I had this idea and it made me feel a way, and I want to follow through. And
Yeah.
that's really what it is most of the time, is like, and so like there's a lot of stuff that I start and I go like, okay, that's enough. And I don't finish it, right? And nobody ever sees it. And it's because it's a thing where I'm just like, yeah, I had a bit of a feeling there, but it never really manifested. And that's okay too. Like, it's fine to
Mhm.
sort of chase those, and but then to also leave them, right? And yeah, like, so I look at an artist like John Carpenter and his work, which is not, these are not generally the type of stories that I would tell. It's not the sort of stuff that if I'm creating that I'm really gravitating towards. And yet I every time I watch a John Carpenter movie, one of the ones that I think gets really really overlooked. It's one of his earlier ones. I and it's one of my absolute favorites, is Assault on Precinct 13. It's such a good movie, and nobody like, it's such good suspense and such good action. Um, and I every time that I watch a John Carpenter movie for the first time, I am always like taken aback at how his signature is there, like you said, in the lightning.
Yeah.
But it's always there, yet he is able to do different stuff all the time. And I really feel like he's an artist who doesn't repeat himself, even though I can always recognize it. I can always feel it, that it's John Carpenter. There's still a component where I'm like, that was something completely different. Like, you went in a totally different, like all of the movies that I've mentioned. I really don't think that they're the same type of movie. It's not
Yeah.
like Tim Burton is one of those directors where it's like, you've seen one Tim Burton movie, you've kind of seen all of them. He's kind of got three modes that he goes in, and to the extent that then somebody else can just sort of like take a lot of his aesthetic and a lot of his thought process, and they can make a movie like Nightmare Before Christmas, and everybody will walk around going, "That's a Tim Burton movie," and it's like, Tim Burton did not direct that movie, right? He produced that
Yeah.
movie, um, and like it's just it tends to be that sort of like very samey thing. I
Mm.
I but John Carpenter, I just really admire how much he's just like, I want to make a movie that is like this, and then he goes and he makes it, and it doesn't matter if people like it, it doesn't matter if people hate it. What matters to him, I think, is whether or not the feeling that he had is up on the screen for him at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that is something that like I look at and I go like, that's Kevin Smith is really similar as well.
Yes.
Where he's like, no, this is, I made this for me, and if you guys like it, then that makes me happy. But like, I'm making these movies because I want to see my friend do this thing. I want
Yeah.
to see this stuff on screen. I want to tell this story. And I don't know, like those are the artists that I think I gravitate towards and respect the most,
I
because it's the type of artist that I strive to be. Right.
Yeah. I always like looking, if there's still, like, a fandom for things that
Hmm.
are, like, older like this, like Reboot still has a fandom.
Yep.
We talked about that. But there is actually still, like, a pretty active fandom.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, they only post, like, a couple of times a year, but, like, there's, like, a major fan site that, like, will sell T-shirts that actually have, like, the license and everything like that on it. There's, there's, like, an active, like, still a group that wanna have Big Trouble in Little China 2 made, and I'm like, "Please no," but I
Yeah.
no. But, like, I find it interesting that there's still fandom to this day that, like, this fandom started like, a lot of these sites started when the age of the internet started with, like, bulletin boards and, like, university
Yeah.
sites, mid-90s, and then, like, moved to the internet and kept that going and have been going for 30 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's so impressive, and they keep everything. They have, like, metas, they have fan fiction, they have fan concepts. Like, that is a sign to me that this is a mythically resonant
Yeah.
story because
Yeah.
it caused people who watched it to want to create more from the story.
Yeah. That to me is really the test, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that good art begets good art, and
Yeah.
that is kind of like when I look at the things that I love so much, and the most common denominator amongst them, it's like, yeah, man, that's what it is. It's when somebody sees it and they go, maybe I could do something, right? And
Yeah.
it's a compulsion, right? Like, this is a thing that I think Joe and I have been talking about a lot lately, which is that um we're not artists because it's the easy path, right? We don't do this
Mhm.
because, it's going to make us rich and famous. Like, some people get to be rich and famous off of their art, but we almost like I'll speak for myself, especially. I do it in spite of the fact that it will not get me rich and famous. um that it is a thing that I am compelled to do, that I feel a need. And I love it when I experience a piece of art, somebody else's work, that then gets me fired up and compels me to go off in a direction and explore something and try something new, and expand my skill set. And then, hopefully that resonates with other people, right? Like, that's that to me is really, yeah, like the sign of something that is successful. When you're talking about art, it's not about, because there's tons of stuff that hangs in a gallery and sells for millions of dollars, but how many people even know that it exists? And yeah, it's the Guillermo del Toro said this recently about AI, right? It's the measure of art isn't how much you would pay for it, it's what you would sacrifice to be in its presence, right?
Oh.
And he's talking about AI, and it's like that. It's like AI is, yeah, it makes some semi compelling screensavers, I think is what he said. Um, and I get what he's saying with that, because he's not just talking from the consumer side of it. He's not talking about consumption at all. He's talking about something inside him, right? Because that,
Yeah.
what would you sacrifice to be in its presence, is not necessarily about, you know um um viewing a piece of art, but it is also about creating it, right? So
Mhm.
what I well like how far would you go, and what would you give up, and what would you sacrifice in order to make that thing happen? um so yeah.
There's so much about art that is the journey and how the creation of it
Hmm.
itself is part of our own, psychological transformation and creating something out of nothingness.
Yeah.
Art itself is the elixir of our own psychological transformations, and how can that be replicated by any sort of large language model? I
Yeah.
just don't see how it can be, because the psychological effort that went into creating ourselves and transforming ourselves gets pushed out and told in the language of dreams through art. And
Yeah.
that's how other people can experience the lessons that we've learned within our deep subconscious. This is
Yeah.
John Carpenter's dream. It's a
Yeah.
dream
Yeah.
he had. It's a dream he had. He
Yes.
had this idea. He brought it forth. It has amazing freaking music that he did himself that really works with this movie.
Yeah.
And all of these psychological symbols are there on the page, or on the screen for us.
Yeah.
And we can take a little bit of what he's gone through home with us.
Hmm.
If there's nothing in it, it's empty.
Yeah. Well, there's such a difference between there's a story inside me that I have to tell, or something that I see in my mind's eye that I have to share with other people. And well, we've got Scarlett Johansson and she's this Black Widow character, and even though we killed her off in the timeline, we really should make a solo movie with her. Right? Like,
Yeah.
because I love Marvel movies, but there's a really big distinction between the Marvel movies that have something to say and a reason to exist, and the ones that are checking boxes, right? And I
Yeah.
think that in the last couple of years, it's been a lot of them that have just been sort of checking boxes. But then Thunderbolts comes out, and I'm sitting here going, I don't know how they snuck it past Disney, but they made another Marvel movie that's actually about something. And
Yeah.
so like it, like Shang-Chi was another one where like that one came out and I was like, this one has it, this one's got the juice. And the juice is that there's a story there that somebody felt compelled to tell.
Well,
There was
they allowed
art there that they
the
wanted to share,
writers
right?
and directors to actually tell something that meant
Yeah.
something personal to them, and that's always what you're going to get, is like when you have great storytellers and great creators, when they're speaking from themselves, right? They're pulling something, even if they transform it and, like, transform it into it. There's a grain of truth in there from them. It's going to be good. Like we have it with K-pop Demon Hunters. Like,
Yeah.
you have that. It is
Yeah.
truthful. There is a truth
Yes.
there. Yeah.
And the corporations and executives, they learn the wrong lessons from these things, right? Because they take the trappings, they take the surface, that's what they think is the success, but then they completely miss the forest for the trees. Because the reason why K-pop Demon Hunters is successful, as you said, is that like it's there's something in there, right? Like there's a
Mhm.
the people who made that, not just the writing of it and the directing of it, but like I think all the way down, because I think what we're seeing with the vocalists, like the three vocalists that do the
Mhm.
songs, but then also the voice actors that play the characters in the regular movie, like the non-singing parts of the movie. Like there are so many stories about people in that film that were like, I thought I was done. I thought I had sort of resigned myself. I was never going to be a success. I'm just working. I'm just kind of doing this thing. And now they're the biggest thing on the planet, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's
That's
because
that's
that
how you know that the story is mythically
yeah.
resonant, by the way, and
Yeah.
hit people when they were in that, like, space, which is like 8 to 12-year-olds,
Yeah.
that it psychologically changed them.
Yeah.
Like, it was aimed at that age, and it worked perfectly. It's the Star Wars of this generation. I could go on and on about it.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. It's yeah.
but, um, back to Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
I love this movie so much. So, thank you so much for having me on this,
Yeah.
episode.
I mean,
And
absolutely.
I feel like if you've listened to all of this and you haven't watched it, please go and watch it, and just
Yeah.
let it just go along with the ride. Don't
Oh
judge it.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a movie that you just have to sit back. You just got to sit back. It's a theme park ride at times, and
Yeah, exactly.
you gotta let it. You just gotta let it be silly, um, and like just let things be silly. It's okay. It's okay. I promise. I promise. It doesn't matter how old you are. It's okay to just let it be silly a little
Mm-hmm.
bit and to just have a little bit of fun with it. I think that this is a very common thing for a lot of parents. You spend time with your kids, and I think the best thing that we ever get from them as parents is permission to be silly and
Yes.
to just live in that again, because we lose it. It's in this movie, the things that we pretend not to believe in, right? And that's one of the reasons why this movie is so great, and why as a kid I could watch it and I could love it, and why as an adult I can watch it and love it and sit here and talk to you for almost 2 hours about it, because it just unlocks that. It just and God, if Kurt Russell wasn't willing to be silly, this movie wouldn't be this movie, right? Like
Nope.
you gotta just embrace
His
that every
boots
once in a while.
still get me. His
all the
lace
way
up
up,
like
all the way up the
boots.
calf. Yeah, with the jeans and the tank top. It makes no sense. No one else has ever done it. Everybody else has gone like, this is a terrible look, but Jack Burton, it's how he lives his life.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
yeah, nobody else could pull it off. And
It makes as much sense as Wang's flight suit at the end.
yeah.
Where you're just like, I don't know why you're in a flight suit, and it's like, because it looks cool. So okay, all right, yeah, Top Gun, sure. Yeah, it does. It looks cool. I don't know. Yeah, it looks cool. Works for the Ghostbusters, works for Wang. Yeah. Oh, so we get started back up again. Thank you so much for being on the show, Marie Claire.
Yeah.
It's always fun. It's always a good time, and we always end up digging things up and discovering new pieces that I didn't expect to when we went into it. So that's always the pleasure of having you on. And it's everybody listening, it's the pleasure of listening to What the Force, which is why you should all be subscribed and listening to What the Force, because Marie Claire and all of her amazing guests do that on a regular basis for Star Wars, of like, hey, look at this piece of Star Wars that we've never looked at through this lens before.
Yeah.
And pulling things out and giving it new life, which is, I mean, that's the fun. That's why we have fandom, right? So
Well, thank you for giving me an excuse to rewatch this movie for the,
yeah,
I don't know, 50th time maybe, or
sure.
something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, if people are interested in finding my stuff, you can find What the Force anywhere podcasts are found, and YouTube. And it is an absolute joy to have done another Perfect 10 with you, Mike.
Yes, it always is with you. So thank you so much for hanging out, and thank you everybody for listening to Thunderquack Perfect 10. You can join the conversation on our Discord server over at thunderquack.com/discord. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast service, leave a rating and review, and share it with a friend, because you got a friend out there who is a nut for this movie, and they're going to. It's a great Christmas gift that costs nothing to send it over to somebody and just say, Merry Christmas, I got you this podcast. Yeah, so share it with a friend for sure.
No one's talked about this movie in 30 years.
Yeah.
Or 30, 40 years. But don't worry, we got something for you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. And until next time, remember, it's not about the score, it's about the love. Stay frosty. Thunderquack Perfect 10 is hosted by me, Michael Cohen. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at TQPerfect10, and join the community at thunderquack.com/discord. This podcast is supported by listeners just like you over at patreon.com/thunderquack. Head over there to get early access to episodes, exclusive podcasts, and more. This show is a part of the Thunderquack Podcast Network. Head over to thunderquack.com for more great shows. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.